Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really interesting development in the fintech space. Robinhood, the platform famous for commission-free stock and crypto trading.
Yeah, everyone knows Robinhood.
Well, they're making a serious play for the Canadian crypto market. We're talking a $179 million acquisition of WonderFi Technologies.
And WonderFi isn't just some small startup. They're actually a big deal up in Canada. They own BitBuy and CoinSquare.
Right, two of the largest regulated crypto platforms there. Huge client assets, what was it, over $2.1 billion?
Exactly. And remember, WonderFi itself was formed from that big merger with CoinSquare back in July 23. So they've already consolidated quite a bit.
Good point. So this acquisition, it's Robinhood really planting a flag, not just dipping a toe in.
Definitely feels like a strategic move.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack the strategy here. Why WonderFi? Why now? And what does it mean for Canada and maybe even globally? We've got some sources. Let's dive in.
Sounds good.
So this move to buy WonderFi, it fits into a larger pattern for Robinhood, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not out of the blue. If you look back, they acquired Bitstamp, the European crypto exchange.
Ah, yes, Bitstamp.
So this shows a clear, methodical push for global expansion,
Yeah.
specifically in crypto. It's step by step.
Right. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel in every country. So acquiring WonderFi, it's like buying a ready-made entry point.
Precisely. That's the huge advantage. They instantly get access to infrastructure that's already compliant with Canadian rules.
Yeah.
KYC, AML, all that.
All the regulatory hurdles jumped.
Exactly.
Right.
And they get that established Canadian user base from BitBuy and CoinSquare handed to them. It's way faster than starting from scratch and trying to build trust and navigate all the regulations themselves.
Okay, and that price tag, $179 million, paying a 41% premium over WonderFi's stock price, that feels, well, steep. What's the thinking there?
Well, that premium, it really tells you how much Robinhood values getting into that market now and doing it compliantly.
Speed and certainty.
Yeah. Think about the time, maybe years it could take to get licensed, build everything up, attract customers. They're paying to skip that line.
Makes sense.
It also suggests they see something specific in Canada's regulations, maybe the clarity around custody or how KYC is handled that makes it a particularly attractive place to buy into, rather than trying to build in a market with maybe less defined rules.
Right, time is money, especially in crypto.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that timing then. You mentioned Canada's regulations. It feels like things are solidifying there.
Yeah, the timing seems really advantageous. It's not just Robinhood making a move. It's happening just as Canada's crypto regulatory environment is becoming, let's say, more structured.
More unpredictable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a pretty concrete example of this.
Okay.
Just recently, May 8th, 2025, actually, Crypto.com got its restricted dealer registration sorted out across all of Canada.
All provinces and territories. Wow.
Yeah, so that shows there are now, established legitimate paths for crypto companies to operate fully regulated in Canada.
So the framework is becoming clearer, less Wild West.
Definitely. And you're also hearing calls from Canadian officials for even more specific laws around crypto payments. It all points towards more stability, more clarity down the road.
Okay, so Robinhood sees this maturing landscape, and buying WonderFi with its already compliant platforms lets them slot right in.
That seems to be the strategy. Connect the dots. They're stepping into a market as it gains regulatory certainty, but they're doing it through platforms that have already done the hard work of getting compliant.
So they avoid those early-stage growing pains, the regulatory uncertainty.
Right. It significantly de-risks their market entry. They can focus on integrating and growing, not fighting regulatory battles from day one.
Smart. It's like buying a house that's already passed inspection instead of a fixer-upper. Now, what about the people? Robinhood's keeping the WonderFi team, I read.
Yes, that's another really interesting piece. They've said the current WonderFi management will stick around and run the Canadian operations, just under the Robinhood crypto name.
Why keep the existing team? Wouldn't they want their own people running the show?
Well, think about that local knowledge. The WonderFi team, they know the Canadian market inside out.
Relationships, regulations.
Exactly. They understand the nuances, the specific regulatory environment, how things actually work on the ground there. That's incredibly valuable knowledge. You can't just import that easily.
So keeping them ensures things keep running smoothly, minimizes disruption.
Precisely. It cuts down the transition risk massively. Having people already deeply familiar with the Canadian crypto scene leading the charge, it suggests a very practical, thoughtful integration plan. Less friction,
Okay, so you've got the global strategy, the smart timing with regulations, buying the infrastructure, keeping the local expertise.
Yeah.
It sounds like a solid plan. How did the market react? Investors.
The reaction was very positive, for Robinhood anyway. Their stock jumped almost 10% right after the announcement.
Nearly 10%. That's a strong signal. What are investors liking so much?
Well, analysts, Mizuho for instance, pointed directly at Canada's growth potential. Investors clearly see the strategic upside for Robinhood in this expansion.
Interesting. But I thought WonderFi stock didn't fare so well.
That's right, quite the contrast. WonderFi stock actually dropped about 13.6% on the Toronto Exchange this year around the news.
Hmm. So the market thinks Robinhood got the better end of the deal.
That's certainly one interpretation. It suggests investors see more future value being unlocked for Robinhood through this acquisition than perhaps was reflected in WonderFi's standalone valuation.
Okay. And this positive bump for Robinhood fits with their recent performance overall, right? Their stock's been doing well lately.
It has, yeah. Robinhood stock is up significantly, something like 58% over the past month. So this acquisition seems to be reinforcing that growing investor confidence in their overall direction and these expansion plans.
Okay, let's pull this all together then. Robinhood buys WonderFi, big headline, but lots going on underneath. What are the main things we should take away?
I think there are a few key things. First, it's clear Robinhood is serious about global crypto expansion, building on that Bitstamp move. It's strategic.
Not just a one-off.
Right. Second, the timing is smart. They're leveraging Canada's increasing regulatory clarity by buying entities that are already compliant. Big time saver, less risk.
Getting ahead of the curve.
Third, keeping the WonderFi management team. That highlights how crucial local expertise is, and it should make the integration much smoother.
Smart people management.
And finally, that positive market reaction for Robinhood stock, despite the premium paid. It shows strong investor buy-in to this strategy. They believe it's the right move for growth.
So for you, the listener, what does this boil down to? It really shows the crypto market is, well, growing up. You've got major established players like Robinhood making calculated moves, buying their way into regulated markets.
Yeah, it emphasizes that regulatory compliance isn't just a hurdle anymore. It's becoming a core strategic asset in the crypto world.
Which leads to a final thought for you to chew on.
Right. If Canada, with its evolving regulations, is attractive for this kind of move by Robinhood, where else might we see this happen? What other established markets are maybe tightening up their crypto rules, making them prime targets for similar acquisitions or expansion plays?
And maybe more broadly, what does this trend tell us about how institutions are starting to view crypto? Is it becoming just another accepted part of the global financial system?
Definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
It signals a potential shift towards more consolidation and institutional embrace of crypto. Lots of
Yeah.
implications there.